Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Astute Sage. This is Miss Real. If you can take a moment to like and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. Just a little bit about me. I am a spiritual advocate and I do help people spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. I connect the spiritual to the physical. And what makes me stand out is while I while I believe in spiritual practices, divination, I use divination to help my clients manifest what they want on the physical plane. So whether that's they want to go to a certain school, they want to achieve a certain goal, they want to get a certain job, it's helping them to materialize what it is they're looking for and being successful. Um, Oftentimes, I'm not knocking any spiritual practitioner on here. A lot of them, they focus on the spiritual, they do tarot card readings, charms, like I said, different divinations, and that's how they're of therapy and use. I connect with those things as well, but I like to assist people with basic needs because psychology is really important, and that's pretty much what astrology is psychology in the sky. So I do use these things to assist people, and that's what makes me stand out is real tangible results, an actual action plan. So it's not just spiritual practices, but actual physical work. Faith without works is dead. So you can have all the faith in the world, but if you're not doing anything to get closer to that, your ideas and your dreams are not going to manifest. You can do all this work and still not manifest what you want because you don't have faith. So it's actually connecting the two, making them succinct, allowing them to intersect so that my clients and the individuals that I work closely with, whether it's friends, family members, strangers, are able to live their best lives. So that's what makes me different. That is what makes me stand out. I appreciate you coming here and getting the message for today. Now, usually I have ideas or things that come, and one of the messages that I kind of was very hesitant to put out, one that I'm really trying to study that I've observed, is the ego. And a lot of us, we have ego. We have to have ego. And I think Carl Jung definitely expresses that there is the super ego, the id, the ego, and the super ego. And there's levels and there's stages, and obviously this goes back to psychology. And so when we deal with people in the 3D, we deal with a lot of people who live an illusion. A lot of people, they enjoy being lied to because they lie to themselves. We are living in a society where we live off of illusion. We eat fake food, we see fake things, we act fake, we breathe fake. Everything, a lot of what we are consuming is not real, it's fake. And if anything is real, we'll reject it. When someone speaks the truth, it's something that's so uncomfortable that we would actually reject what someone is saying. We reject what someone is saying, and we know that they're speaking the truth. When you go on social media, we're selling illusions. We like illusions. A lot of the times we see illusions. The moment we go on social media and someone speaks the truth, whether it's about their life, what they're going through, we don't want to hear it. We shun away from it and we push it away. Okay? That's why they say the bigger you are, the harder you fall. People who have a huge ego have an inflated sense of themselves and of their situation. They're seeing it through an illusion. These illusionists create their own illusion, then sell their own illusion to other people, having people buy illusions. And when it comes time for the illusions to crash down and for them to face reality, they get upset, they get angry, they have a mental and emotional breakdown. It's pretty much a tower moment if you read Tarot. It's the equivalent of the tower in people's lives. And I am here to talk about illusions, to talk about ego, and to talk about how ego manifests at different stages in our lives. When you're young and you're dealing with the ego, your ego gets hurt and it gets bruised because a lot of us have been bullied. So we learn through our bullying, right? That when we're being bullied, to hide what it is that makes us stand out. That's from the perspective of the person being bullied. Now, the person that's doing the bullying, they have insecurity. So they feel like if they harm someone or hurt people, or hurt this other person, that it's going to make them feel good inside. Not understanding that they're only setting themselves up to have their ego fall at a time in their life when it's so inflated and so high that they cannot afford for it to be shattered. But that's the time that their ego does begin to get shattered. And that's where you see a lot of people go through really bad things like karmic debt, having to pay triple, tenfold because they did not check their ego. I made a video about checking yourself before you wreck yourself. Having a healthy ego is being able to check yourself. If you're not able to check yourself, that's a problem, because don't depend on other people to check you. Because when they do check you, they could be checking you out of a lower vibration and energy. You would rather check yourself. That way, when someone else checks you, you're already aware of the problem and the issue, and it doesn't need to be a problem. You know that you're dealing with it, you're aware. Awareness is the first step to fixing a problem and an issue. If you're not aware, you can't fix it. So when you're younger and you're dealing with the ego, you're trying to figure out what is going to make you feel good about yourself, whether it's your work. For some people, it is their work. For some people, it's relationships. For some people, it's money, material status, being able to reach something. And that's what happens from our adolescence into our young adulthood, right? Until we're about 25, 30. Our ego is based on materialistic things. Now, from 30 to 40, it becomes something changes, it becomes different. A lot of people, they're still focused on the materialistic things and materialism, and that's what pretty much makes them feel important. When they have a certain job, they're with a certain partner, they're living a certain life. But if all of these things are removed, these people will be depressed. These people will lose themselves. These people are using their identity, or they're using materialistic things as a way to describe their identity. If you ask them, who are you? They're going to say they're their job, they're their house, they're their car, they're their position in life, whether a mother, a manager. Some of them will use degrees. I'm someone, I have a master's degree. And a lot of times I see a lot of individuals who say, I got my master's, I got my doctorate. So, I'm Dr. So and so, or I got my master's. And they equate their academia to their ego, to who they are, to identify their sense of self. But as I always say, you don't die putting your degree on your tombstone. You don't die putting all the titles of life on your tombstone. There ain't enough room on there. That's why you don't get attached to titles, because at any time, anything can be replaced. That's why we don't hold on to things. The ego wants to make it seem like you own things. How can you own anything when you're here on borrowed time? How can you own your body when you're borrowing it? How can you own a degree when the rights can be taken away if at any time you don't come to par with what the standards are? We forget that we're on a borrowed time, on in a borrowed plane. Nothing of this really belongs to us. We can't take the money, the riches, the accolades when we pass over and we transition into the next world and into the afterlife. We cannot take these things with us, but our soul, our 3D human selves, attaches materialism and status to who we are. We are human beings having a spiritual experience. That's who and what we are. We are not the clothes that we wear. The books that we read, we are not any of these things, but we place emphasis, okay? And getting back to that, the ego plays on fear. So as you get older and you don't have a kid or a husband or a wife or certain things in life that are supposed to make you stable because of societal programming, the ego that starts to be inflated, it turns into fear, and then people act out. You notice that between the ages of 40 and 50, a lot of people get divorced, right? A lot of people that get divorced, they start over, they start new lives, and it's a form of an ego death, kind of like a midlife crisis, where you're realizing, okay, what did I accomplish, what did I achieve? We're here for such short times on this earth, and yet our ego a lot of the times drive it. We feel like if we have all these friends and all these people and all these positions and all this money, that it's going to make a difference, and it's not, because when these things ah, when these things get removed out of our life, who are we when we don't have those friends? Because a lot of the times the friends you start with when you're in elementary, very few times do you carry them until you pass on. Even your college friends, okay? How many of them do you keep throughout life? And so it's funny because when we go on social media and you have people that have 1,000,000 friends or 1,000 friends, how many of them do they know? I mean, oftentimes, if you guys haven't been paying attention, you saw, oh, my husband tried to kill me, my wife tried to kill me. You see the stories on the news where they're sleeping with the damn enemy. So how well do you know someone if you don't know yourself? How well can you judge someone else if you cannot judge yourself? We do not know ourselves. This is the whole process on why we're here. The ego keeps us stuck in positions, places, and people that don't serve us. And the reason why we stay with these things is because we get complacent. So then we create an illusion, and then we lie, and then we complain about the situation instead of actually taking active steps to change it, because we're afraid of the unknown. The ego will always tell us the unknown is bad. But that is all that is constant, is unknown and change in this world. Oftentimes, people will shame the person for going into the unknown. They will shame that person. And when things work out, that's when they're like, oh, hey, do you remember me? And that person has changed. You will see people shame people and dim people's light so that they don't go into the unknown, so that they don't take that chance, they don't take that risk. That is a form of the ego. That is the form of the illusion. Like I said earlier, people, if someone, and I said this in an earlier post, if someone is comfortable lying to you, that means they lie to themselves. That means they believe in illusion. And when the mask comes off and when the illusion gets shattered, they get depressed. And misery loves company. Okay, so I definitely want us to think, because I went on someone's live and it just literally changed the perception of how I view things in the ego. A lot of us were like, we need 1,000 friends, we need to have a house and a car. No, what you need to do is get comfortable with yourself. Okay, all right, you need to get comfortable, because in life, I hate to say it, fuck a friend. When you're on your last deathbed, your friend ain't gonna be there. It's just gonna be you. It's good to have friends, but real, true, honest, good friends that are going to vibrate on your frequency are few and far between. Even if you have a community of people, the people that truly resonate are going to be few and far between. Okay? This whole idea that you need 1,000 friends, Get rid of it. Because let me tell you something. How many people get invited to these weddings where they have a guest list of 175 people, and when those people get divorced, not a damn single one of the motherfuckers is going to show up and help the divorcees get through it. Not damn one of those motherfuckers is going to help those individuals get through a difficult time in their life. They came to the party. They came for the open bar. They came for the pictures. They came to cast their judgments, but they're not really there. That's the ego. That's illusion. People will participate in illusion before they participate in the truth. I'm going to say it again. People will participate in illusion before they participate in the truth. People will rather go on a gossip blog and believe what is fake than actually sitting out and finding out what's actually going on in the world that's affecting them on a basic level. People are comfortable in illusion. It feels comfortable because that's what they have sold themselves. That's what they are comfortable with. That is what makes them happy until every single illusion breaks and they are forced to look at themselves and realize that they are not the illusion. A lot of people are uncomfortable with being honest with themselves, with hearing the truth, being in the truth, and speaking the truth. A lot of the chosen ones don't have a problem because that's what we are here to do. So I ask that you observe your environment. You observe as you go onto social media and you connect with people. And to get out of the ego, to get out of fear, to get out of these attachments. Bonhoeffer, he actually created a theory on stupidity. And a lot of people, they'll sit here and they'll be like, I am so educated, but they're stupid. These people, you could play them like a fiddle. Why? Because stupidity, by Bonhoeffer's definition, is an individual that will do something that does not benefit them nor the other person. That's what a lot of criminals are. A lot of criminals that get caught, they're stupid. Okay, I'm telling you this right now. I studied higher education. My master's degree is being a college administrator. So I'm telling you this from experience. A college degree means that you are able to do a task. Okay, a college or an institution like a university or college, it's there to make sure that you're prepared for the workforce. They say it's learning. That's the selling point to get you in the door to pay money, to retain you, okay? But when you go on to get your master's degree and your doctoral degree, it's heavily focused on getting you employment ready. It's heavily focused on making sure that you're able to meet the work demand that is going to be expected of you when you go out into the workforce. Basically, you don't have to be intelligent to get a college degree. You just have to be consistent enough to actually check off each box and do each task the way that each professor wants you to. That's why you change professors, just like you change supervisors. It basically, college and university mimics the employment world. So no, you don't need to have intelligence. I've met stupid people that have master's degrees and doctoral degrees. It does not mean having a degree does not denote to intelligence, by no means necessary. You have individuals that have never stepped foot into a college and they're smarter than a motherfucker that's supposed to be reading the 5 books and the 17 chapters and doing the assignments that either does them or does not do them. Okay? All right, you have mofos that are out here doing college people work because the college people are fucking lazy. I'm telling you this as a college administrator, someone that actually has a background in higher education. I'm telling you this. A college degree does not mean you're intelligent. You could be dumber than a bag of rocks because I've seen them. Trust and believe that. Okay? Trust and believe that. Okay? So, you know, we got to come out the ego. And that's what college does. It builds upon the ego. And it gives individuals an inflated sense of ego. And it gets teared down when they can't find a job in a field. It gets teared down when they're doing things that they don't want to do, or they actually get into the field, but it's something that they don't enjoy. They take a job that they don't like. Okay? We have got to start coming out of the ego. People, another form of the ego is projection. People will project their insecurities as a way to make themselves look and feel good. And oftentimes, when they project their insecurities onto you or to other people, right, what ends up happening is they end up having to answer for that. People then really see who they are. Okay, people like to project. It's the easiest form to project and deflect. Do not allow space in that. Gossip is a form to reinforce the ego. It is also a form of spell work. To gossip about someone else and to engage in gossip, first of all, gossiping is a vibration that happens with the mouth. And that vibration goes out into the universe and then it manifests. So it is a form of spell work. But beyond that form of spell work of gossip, right? It also helps the person that's gossiping and the people that are sitting around gossiping. It's making them feel good. It's feeding into that ego, because that ego is a demon. That ego needs to be fed. It needs to be fed constantly, because the moment it doesn't get fed, it gets depressed because it's being repressed and suppressed. So gossip and judgment, that's why they say don't judge people, is a way to feed and fuel the ego. So when you see individuals that gossip and engage in gossip, remove yourself, because that is one way that they're feeding their ego. And oftentimes, gossip only lasts but so long before the truth comes out. And then when they have nothing else to gossip, that's why they gossip or they do small talk about other things like celebrities or other petty shit, because they need that ego to be fed. There's other ways that people will feed their ego by constantly talking. That's another way to feed the ego, because they're so afraid to be by themselves. See, what I'm trying to say is that people are so afraid at looking at themselves and seeing the true selves that they have to find every single way to deflect that reflection that they don't like in the mirror. So they gossip, they project, they do things that are petty, they'll self-sabotage and sabotage others. That's a form of the ego that is unchecked. So as you go out and you begin to interact with people, start to look at how they start to do things to make themselves feel good and to stand out. Usually someone with a good sense of ego, they don't do those things. Anybody whose ego is off, their solar plexus is off, which means they're having issues with feeling good about themselves. So they need to harvest energy, because the ego needs energy. And so they'll energy harvest, like I said, through gossip, right? That's how they energy harvest to feed themselves, to feed the ego, to feed the mind. A lot of these people who are egotistical, they cannot quiet the mind. They don't like quiet. Being quiet means you're connecting to spirit, means that you're able to be still, means that you're able to be grounded. A lot of these people who are egotistical, they're mentally off, they're mentally ungrounded. And that's a problem, because they're going to take that and project it and make it seem like it's you and it's really them, who cannot, they don't have the confidence to do the shadow work to fix that problem. So that's why they deflect and project onto others. One last tip and thing to observe when you're dealing with egotistical people, they'll crack jokes. So for instance, they'll be like, "Oh, you're really pretty for a fat girl. You're really pretty for a black girl." Or they might crack a joke like, "Oh, your hair looks funny. Why does it look like that?" And then everybody laughs. It's an insult. But because they got people to laugh, and because you laugh, it's a way to basically disarm you. Okay? Insults that come as a joke is a way to feed the ego in a covert way. Don't allow people to joke on you or to do that to you. Oh, you got a little baby wine glass. Oh, you're a little you don't know how to drink. Ha 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 ha. And everybody's laughing when you can probably hold a whole keg, or you can down a whole keg and you're good as a bug, snug as a bug in a rug. Okay? Do not allow these people to joke with you. Because, see, egotism and narcissism, they're very close. And people, that I'm telling you, they go back and forth. We have a lot more narcissistic people than we like to admit and realize. Just like we have a lot more stupid people than we like to actually realize and actually be honest with ourselves about. So as you're going out and you're dealing with individuals, whether it's on the job, your family members, your coworkers, your friends, your colleagues, your associates, people at the store, strangers who you don't know, keep these things in mind when it comes to the ego. Why are they talking to you? Why are they even talking to you the way that they're talking to you? Why are they projecting and deflecting? Why are they cracking jokes about you when it's them who has the issue? And do not be afraid to stand your ground and to question them. And a lot of times when you do these things, they're going to get defensive because no one is checking them. They're not checking themselves, and you're checking their ego. You have to continue to tell people about themselves so they know what you're willing to tolerate. Because the moment you go along with it, they're just going to take it further and further and further till you can't take it anymore. Then you lash out. Then you look like the what? You look like the villain when it's them who is the villain because they refuse to check their illusion. They would rather live in illusion and delusion because a lot of people who are egotistical are delusional. Just keep that in mind. So you got to learn how to check these people right off the gate. Like, that's not cool. I don't like that. Don't joke with me, and stand your ground. As uncomfortable, because for some of y'all, it's going to be real uncomfortable when you start calling people out. Continue to call people out, and they're going to get tired of doing what they're doing, and they're going to stop because they don't want to be checked. And then they'll just do it to somebody else who's not aware of what they're doing, and someone that they can take advantage of. Because a lot of egotistical people are opportunists. They're looking for the opportunity to either put somebody down and make themselves look good, or they're looking for an opportunity to slide in. They're opportunists. A lot of egotistical people are opportunists. That's why you notice when you're down and out, they're never around. But when you're on the up and up, they want to come around. Don't allow it. Do not allow it. Keep these egotistical people at a distance, and you will be serving yourself 1,000 times better. You will notice how your mental health changes, how you're more at peace. You'll notice how much more at peace you are when you have less people in your life, when you don't have to deal with all that commotion. Because when you're dealing with people, they live in illusion and delusion, and they like to do that, and a lot of them deflect. They're going to tell you that they don't. Don't allow people to come and to complain to you. That's a part of the ego. When people are complaining to you about their sob story, about their problem, and you're going through whatever you're going through and you're doing it by yourself, and these people turn their back, that's a part of them feeding the ego because they want to play the victim. Playing the victim is a part of being a part of the ego. Do not play into it. That right there, let them be the victim in their own lives because they created their own mess. It's a part of the illusion. It's a part of what also narcissists do. They play the victim, and then they're like, all these bad things are happening. No, you created a mess and you don't want to take accountability and responsibility. That's what a lot of people who live in their ego lack: accountability and responsibility for their own life and their own actions. They'll blame everybody else in their life except looking at themselves and say, I need to take accountability and responsibility for my part in these stories and what's happening. Do not allow these people to complain. Do not allow them to sell you a stop story. And yeah, they're going to say you're mean, but it's called having firm boundaries. You need to have firm boundaries when you're dealing with someone egotistical, because they don't care about your boundaries. They don't care about what you're going through. They care about themselves. So they're operating out of a place of selfishness that's going towards the brim of narcissism. Okay, and remember, you need to always operate out of the realm of self-interest, making sure you're putting your interests of yourself first. And sometimes you do need to be selfish and stand your ground. That is perfectly fine and okay. But when you take that selfishness and you add ego, you mix it with narcissism, then you begin to get into a very dangerous realm where you need to be checked. So I want to thank you for actually listening. I know that was pretty long um for you guys to actually take in, but I really appreciate you listening. Please like, please subscribe. I really appreciate you lending me your ears, your time and your space. But I just had to get out that we have got to come out of our ego. We have got to stop feeling sorry for ourselves. It is okay if we don't have a ton of friends. The most important thing is that you love yourself, you practice self-love, and you practice peace. That is one, those three things are so important, because a lot of people out here, they say that self-love is getting their hair done and their nails done. No, self-love is being at peace with yourself. No matter what situation you're going through, you know that you're going to make it through. You know that you're at peace with yourself, at peace with your decisions, at peace with where you're going. And that is the goal and the motto. So with that being said, I want to thank you. Much love, much peace, much life. And until next time, take care.